don't need to hold you down to lift me up, yeah. I don't need to see the ground to know I'm jumping. Don't need no one else's crown to claim my cup, yeah. I don't need I don't need you. 'Cause you won't let no peak flow. Think I'm out here blowing you up. I'm on that next rise, best life out here showing you up. Turn me away to my face. Now they out here showing me love. I think it's high time for some diseducation. I don't need your hand-me-downs for my leg up. I don't need to raise my hand to be disruptive. While I'm raking and the bacon on my lunch, yeah. I don't need I don't need you won't let no peak flow. Think I'm out here blowing you up. I'm on that next rise, best life out here showing you up. Turn me away to my face. Now they out here showing me love. I think it's high time for some diseducation. Yeah, someday I do that. Someday I love you. Someday you, hey, sweet do day. But you will never you be you. Sweet do day. Okay, alright. Look, no need for fake love, no need to waste hugs. It's in your face, love. I see what you're made of. And when they switch up, I start acting different on them. I throw my wrist up, I just let it glisten on them. No need for tripping on them, I just respect the game. While others come and go, we building a solid name. Ay, it's harder to move smarter when it's less to gain. Gotta make your own rules, go against the grain. Pressure and pain remains, it's settled in. With nothing to lose, I can only accept a win. Don't need nobody stepping in, trying to recommend. You know my world better than me, better phone a friend. Either follow my lead or set a trend. Once you go down this road, it never ends. The devil knocking at my door, I better let them in. But warn them that I'm more deadly than the 7 sins.
I won't let you take my voice from me. I won't be not by you. Won't be shut out. Won't be refused. I won't be anymore. La 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 la. Anymore. La la la. Anymore.
So, hey everyone, Lachi here. I am she, her. I'm a Black woman with cornrows, and that is Lachi like Versace. I identify as blind and neurodivergent and Aries and a New Yorker. I'm a daughter of Nigerian immigrants, so we got all of that energy going through us. And today I am in my studio. I got 2 pianos behind me. I'm wearing a red shirt with white puffy earrings, and I have my glam cane in the background. Clap for her, she gets jealous. And I'm just really, really excited to be here today with you folks. And Deshaymond, thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I've shared this with you before, but you are one of my sheroes. I talk about you and Monica the most out of any artist.
Oh my God.
Just because you guys are so similar in a lot of different ways. Not sound, not music, right? But she's definitely that bad girl of R&B before there was bad girl Riri. You know, that was the good chick that kicked down doors and smacked your chick, you know. And Clive Davis wanted her to be a pop princess, but she said, hell no. You know, so it's just, you do that for me. You do that, okay, y'all want me to be this way, but I'm going to go ahead and be Lachi. And that's what I love about you too. So thank you so much for doing my show. And welcome to the Deshaymond Show. Now,
Thank you for having me.
I am the sophisticated gentleman. I am the savage. I am a nigga from the gutter. I am Deshaymond.
I am energy. I am purpose. I am impact. I am liberation. I am visionary. I am joy. I am an invitation to be yourself. I am pride. I am community. I am love. And I am music, culture, and destiny, uplifting what our ancestors have always wanted us to uplift, kind of combined together in this bundle of smiles, laughter, fashion, and fun. I think that's what I am.
Well, all of those things. You got me here tearing up because you really are all of those things. And you're all of those things to me. And I'm just so grateful for you.
This week, for what I'm reading, I want to highlight a book that doesn't whisper its truth. It speaks it boldly. I Identify as Blind by Lachi isn't just a book. It's a statement. In these pages, Lachi reminds us to rethink what disability really means. Not as a limitation, but as a culture, an identity, and a source of power. As a blind artist, advocate, and leader, she doesn't ask for permission to take up space. She claims it. This book challenges the idea that visibility is optional and reminds us that representation isn't charity, it's necessary. Reading I Identify as Blind reminded me that naming who you are is an act of courage, and owning it is an act of freedom. This is why I choose books by marginalized creators, because their stories don't just inform us, they transform us. And this one stays with me. Read I Identify as Blind, written by Lachi, today.
And I heard all of it in your book. I listened to your audiobook and I heard all of it. And it just really, it made me look in the mirror a lot. It made me celebrate. It made me like, yes. It made me like do all of those things. And then you grounded it all at the end. And I'm grateful I could read it. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. But
Sure.
Now that you've told me who you are,
Mm-hmm.
I want my audience to know I know you musically. But tell me about the music that you make.
So I am a recording artist and a songwriter, and I've had the pleasure and really the privilege to be able to travel the world for my art, and to work with some really, really cool household names. My music spans between electronic dance, pop, elements of hip hop, elements of jazz, elements of singer-songwriter. And it's really all tied together with my lyrics. My lyrics are very empowering, very bad bitch energy, very liberated. And yeah, I have had the pleasure of working with names, everyone from Black Caviar to Evie Oddly, who's won RuPaul's Drag Race, to folks like Armin van Buuren and Marcus Schultz on the sort of dance and electronic side, to Apple to App of the Black Eyed Peas, to having co-written on a song with Snoop Dogg and Styles P. So a lot of really, really great fun projects. And recently, I did a project called, I produced on a project called The Colors in My Mind, which became Grammy nominated. And it was it's an album by the artist Chris Redding, who is openly neurodivergent and celebrates neurodiversity through this album. And I was able to get other neurodivergent folks onto this album. So it's a great celebration of, getting the family in on, something that became Grammy nominated, and then I myself being neurodivergent. But outside of that, I think right now I'm like kind of on a kick of doing pop meets dance under hip hop lyrics. And then we're just kind of putting out a bunch of little raps, talking about how dope we are and letting them go viral, and getting some kudos from folks like SZA, which is really nice. But really growing my kind of like my fan base in the LGBTQ, like the queer community, the drag scene, which has been really, really fun. Um, and I guess that's really me musically. And, you know, I know we're going to talk about the advocacy too, and it's very kind of
Yes.
intertwined with what I do musically. Because again, the lyrics, while they are all about bad bitch energy, I mean, I have my cane very front and center, so everyone knows exactly from whence, you know, this discussion is coming from. It's very much a I completely accept all parts of myself, and
Yeah.
that has made me unafraid to unabashedly kind of celebrate this part of myself and all parts of myself. So as I'm singing these kind of bad bitch lyrics, it's from within the realm of I am very open about my disability and neurodivergences.
Yes. And you know, it's bad bitch energy, but it's like big dis energy. And you say that so well.
Hey!
Like big dis, like on diseducation. I was putting together some like promo stuff, just talking about your book for my What I'm Reading segment. And I was with my content producer and he was like, "Oh, she's snapping." And I'm like, "Yes, she snaps."
Yes,
Like,
girl.
you know, and we were listening to the beginning of diseducation. And you're just this all around artist. I love what you said about working with Chris Redding, who I love also, and I'm
Mhm.
so proud of you guys. Congratulations,
Thank
you
you.
know, on that project, and congratulations on your Grammy nod because we know, especially in the industry, in the Recording Academy, those do not come easy, and you know, other artists are the harshest critics sometimes,
Sure,
but
sure.
you guys deserve it, and it's so
Yeah,
well deserved.
thank
Um,
you.
so you do this thing where you blend your advocacy so well with your artistry, and it's like one does not happen without the other. Why
Yes.
is that important to you, and how do you do it so well?
Girl, you're like, what's the secret sauce?
Yes, yes, we want to know.
The people want to know. I got you. All right, you ready? So, um, as your listeners may or may not know, I am also the founder and CEO of an organization called Ramped, which recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. And one of the coolest things we've done is that acronym.
Yes, real
Um,
shit.
but for real though, of which you are a very active member. You are currently the treasurer, doing a
Yes.
great job of the
Thank
member
you.
network of the global network. Um, and one of the things that I like to let people know is that one of the reasons Ramped came about was really literally because I had recognized that I was masking, right? Um, Throughout the industry, I was downplaying my vision loss, trying to act like I could see when I really kind of couldn't, as I was blind. I was downplaying all of my different neurodivergences and some of my mental health conditions just so that I could fit in or look competitive. And However, as I got into bigger and better rooms, right? And as I started getting invited to these bigger and better sort of galas and things of that nature, I started realizing I needed to accommodate myself and I needed to just disclose so that I can tell these folks what I need so I can do my best, so that I can get, you know, they could get the best performance out of my show or they can get the best performance out of my studio recording. And that led me to have this epiphany of like, oh, wait, if I'm running around masking, there's no way I'm the only one,
How many
right?
others are? Yeah,
How
yeah,
many
exactly.
others are? And that was essentially what
Present company included.
exactly right. And so I remember Googling like disability and music and nothing coming up, right? Very little coming up, perhaps some sort of charity model things, right? And I was like, nah, I'm obviously nobody's charity case. I'm no pity case. Where are the dope ass folks like me? Right. And that was essentially the thing behind Ramped. And so when I started Ramped in 2021, we ended up launching in 2022. I ended up taking a few years off of music so that I could build this organization who, you know, now we do consulting and training with some of the largest, with the Grammys, with Netflix, with, you know, Spotify and all that. But when we started, you know, we were smaller and the network wasn't quite the global network it is today. So I really had to kind of step outside of music to do that. And it's so funny because now a couple years, you know, I went back into music and the industry is just so much more accessible for me, right? It's so much more inclusive for me because of the work that we were doing at Ramped. And it's just so beautifully full circle of like, now when I Google disability and music, Ramped comes up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know,
And
it's so dope. It's so dope.
well, we put that there and it's like, you ask about why music and advocacy are so intertwined, especially as it pertains to my disability. And I mean, that's really why. Music has been the thing that has made me more confident in my life, right? It's because of music I made friends. It's because of music I came to New York. It's because of music I was able to start making some money, right? And
Really.
it's music, music, music. And eventually it became because of music, right? That I found the liberation to come out about my disability, disclose my disability so I could give music more of myself, right? And that I just have so much homage to music because it allowed me to be in a place where I could take that mask off and liberate myself from the prison that is being afraid of internalized ableism, right?
Girl.
And so, those two things are now hand in hand. I pay homage to the ability to have taken off my mask and to be my full self, including my disability. And I was able to do that because of music. So they're so intertwined. The ability for me to celebrate myself is loving my disability and loving creating music. So they're so hand in hand.
And you said that so eloquently, but you kind of missed a little bit of what Ramp does as well. So I'll go ahead and
Go for it.
I'll fill in the blanks just because I know what Ramp has opened up for me. And one of the great things about Ramp is you kind of, how can I say it as eloquently as you do, but you provide a gateway into the industry for artists.
Book is. I want to talk about really difficult things with humor, with honesty, and with heart, because I feel that the reason we all mask is because we don't know how to talk about things that are hard with humor and heart.
That's real shit. And we don't. And I'll tell you this, like my waking up blind story would be like the tear jerker, sappy
Right.
story. And that's why I don't usually tell it. But, I just had a different mindset then. I was born sighted. I was sighted for 30 years of my life. And then boom, I woke up blind one day.
Mhm.
But, it's not a great, it's not a fun story like yours. And it's all
Well,
about perspective. It's
it's
just,
about perspective. It's also about how much you are. It's about we have internalized ableism,
yeah,
right?
we do.
And we have a lot of, and I also like to tell people, like, at the end of the day, I am still Nigerian and Aries and a New Yorker. So a lot of that energy was carrying that whole day. But,
Period.
but at the end of the day, we have a lot of internalized ableism and we don't know anything about disability because it's not on TV, it's not on the radio, it's not anywhere. And I'm trying to be that girl that's being like, let's get it up there. Right. But, let's say, for instance, Joe Schmo wakes up blind. And all they see of blindness is Hollywood blind, right? The
Right.
sunglasses and the dog or the beggar or whatever, right? And so, of course, you're going to be, sad, scared, afraid, not wanting to get out of bed, taking 3 days before you even call anybody or anything like that. Of course, that's going to be because all you know of it is what you've seen and heard, which is all of the sad and charity model stories and Who Wants to Be Tiny Tim. And on the other hand, you have all of your internalized ableism of I have to be the strongest. And if I'm weak, then I don't matter, right? I have to be productive or I don't matter. I have to be a capitalist definition of productive or I do not matter. I'm not a man or I'm not a good enough woman. I'm not attractive, right? This is literally what I am fighting in this book is that idea, that there are only two ways to look at disability, which is that it is a medical failing or that it is something to be pitied, charity model, right? I'm trying to showcase the strength that you gain from being able to navigate the world on hard. I'm trying to showcase that folks with disabilities are honestly time travelers. We're the ones showing you what's going on and making the water clean for your ass. But number
Mhm.
three, one of the things that I hit in the book that I keep it relatively nuanced is this idea that we all have something whether it is disability, neurodivergence, a chronic condition, a mental health condition, any kind of condition. And I don't mean like you're going to get it in the future. I mean, you have it now. I don't mean you got a cousin that has it. Yeah, you do got a cousin that has it because everybody has it now,
Everybody.
right here. It could be anything from, like we just mentioned, anxiety. It could be temporary, like seasonal depression, tinnitus, breaking your ankle, breaking your arm. It could be mental health conditions, like, so many different mental health conditions that everybody has. It could be learning differently, dyslexia, hyperplexia. It could be diabetes, right? It could be it could be chronic back pain, my friend, my guy, which I didn't even mention that many things. And I know that so many people have fallen somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we're talking about when people say, how do I be an ally? Being an ally is first recognizing where you fit on that spectrum and then acting accordingly.
Damn right. And I just want to make mention of this. You Nigerians can turn anything profitable. First and foremost, I love y'all. I have Nigerian blood flowing through my veins, so I'm very proud of it. But,
Yes.
I do. Mali, Nigerian, and all of that West Africa, baby. I'm all up and through there. And some Ivory Coast. But
Wow. Okay,
getting back
you.
to it. Plus, he Creole. But we're going to talk about that offline.
Okay.
I just want to say, like, you talk about it so eloquently in your book. You talk about the intersectionality of the disability community. And you just mentioned something in the last thing you said, talking about, being a man and you're still this and all of that. I know I definitely went through a tough period of deep, deep, deep depression that ended, I ended up in the hospital and it was just a crazy mess. I'll put it in my book. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. This ain't about me. But,
I encourage you, please write a book. It's such a great journey. But anyway, go on.
But yeah, so you talk about how being blind and being a Black woman and being blind, two totally different experiences.
Yes.
Speak a little bit on that. And it was so dope in your book for you to acknowledge that. And being a Black man, even when you talked about being a Black man and having a disability, it's totally different. Let's talk about that a little bit.
When we talk about disability, disability is so white.
Yes. Can I say it? I just want to say it. Disability is so white, y'all. Shit.
It really is. But I will say this, and I know this is airing during Black History Month, so this is a great platform to talk about this. When we talk about disability, we really don't talk about Blackness within disability. And honestly, when we talk about Blackness, we really don't talk about disability within Blackness. And, I understand why Black folk would want to distance themselves from disability, or like why anyone would want to distance themselves from disability, because of, historically and today, people have pathologized Blackness already. People have pathologized, womanness. People have pathologized indigenous folk, et cetera, et cetera. So I do understand that. But at the same time, it's like, screw your pathology. People can pathologize you for anything, right? And that's why I celebrate disability. But on the other hand as well, disability is so white. This is why it's so difficult for us to get out of the grievance model and get out of the mind model, because I love me some white folks. Like, I have some staff that's white. My team has white folks on it. But listen, let me tell you, y'all need to stop mining. Okay. Because that's your culture. Like, oh my God. It's like, oh my God, I love that. That's now mine. And I'm going to take all the credit and all the money for it. Oh,
let's not talk about appropriation. I'm just, what? That's going to make me like knock this whole camera down and go, because I'm an Aries too. And hey, wait, I got to ask you a question. Are you a March Aries or an April Aries?
I'm a March Aries.
Ooh, what day?
March Aries.
What day?
March 21, first day of spring. And some people are going to tell you that the first day of spring is March 20. Any March 21 Aries is going to tell you that that is absolute poppycock. But anyway, so what was I going to say? One of the reasons that I really wanted to point out that disability is so white, and this is why it's so full of kind of like grievance, right? As opposed to culture, right?
Mhm.
Because if you look at Black movements, if you look at queer movements, if you look at immigrant movements, you know, the Latin movement, etc., they're full of like the food, you know, the dancing, the lingo, the fashion, right? But when we think about disability, we think about grievance, right? We think
Yeah.
about compliance, we think about charity, we think about brokenness, because, you know, white folks don't know how to season shit, right? And so this is why I'm saying we
She
need to
said it, y'all, and I agree 100%. But go ahead, Lachi. I'm sorry.
why we need to elevate the Blackness, the Latinness, the brownness, the queerness
Fairness.
within
Yes.
disability. And one thing we absolutely must acknowledge is that the entitlements that we celebrate today, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, that everyone benefits
Mhm.
from in some way or another, right? Because of universal design, curb cuts, all of these things that you are benefiting from. And this is global, right? Because the ADA sparked all of these other sort of acts in other countries, right? The ADA came about because of the Rehabilitation Act of 1977, which came about because of a sit-in that disabled folks did for 26 days in a federal building, right? This sit-in that happened in 1977 in this federal building in San Francisco, there were like 10 other sit-ins going on around the world or around the country. And all the other 9 failed after 1 or 2 days because it's a bunch of disabled folks trying to do a sit-in. Like, come on, we need oxygen.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we need real shit out here. We can't be sitting here for 26 days. I can't even be here for 26 hours. Boo, give me a help. But
I
there
love
was
it.
one that lasted for 26 days, and it was led by Judy Human, who is a personal mentor and friend who I talk about like very
Yes.
explicitly in the book. But this would not have happened if it weren't for a young man named Brad Lomax, who was a young Black man with MS, a wheelchair user, who brought in the bliggity Black Panthers,
Period.
right, to be giving these folks supplies, food, security every day for 26 days. I mean, this is the Black Panthers helping this white movement. Brad Lomax
Mhm.
really, I guess, had to convince these guys that this is also a Black movement too. And the reason that we have these curb cuts and all of these entitlements that we enjoy today globally is because of
Correct.
a Black man.
Correct.
And we need to sit on that. We need to roll on that. We need to walk on that. We need to stand on that because
Period. And we need to celebrate that
we
more.
need to celebrate
Yes.
our Black disabled ancestors. Period, period, period.
It's just real crazy because when I heard you giving him his flowers in the book, and I'm like, that's fucking right. Because we always tend to get written out of the success story. It's like our boots are on the ground when it's happening, but
Mhm.
then we get written out of the success story. Why do you think that is? Is it appropriation? Is it just white savior? Why do you think that is?
I think that because we have such and I'm going to just say this point blank, I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, I think we have an unbreakable spirit. Now, this is just particularly Blackness, but
Absolutely.
this can apply to other cultures as well. But it really resonates when it comes to Blackness.
Yeah.
We have such an indomitable spirit of like, how the hell did you survive that and you are still doing this? I mean,
Mhm.
there is no way. And here we
Mhm.
are out here dancing with the dopest dances, rapping, singing with the dopest songs because they come from a place of indomitable spirit. Indomitable spirit, right? Let me tell you something. If somebody walked in and built a table and just started eating at this table they built, and then somebody else just came and said, "Get out of here. This is our table now." And they just start eating there, right?
Right.
And then that person just walks over and just builds another one. These guys don't know how to build a table, is what that shows. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
These guys don't
Exactly.
know how to build a table. All they know how to do is take a table. Okay.
Exactly.
So that's number one. It's an indomitable spirit that you can't teach. This is something that has been passed down to us from before the 400 years. This indomitable spirit has come before the 400 years, survived the 400 years, and is here today. And you
Yes.
cannot teach that. You can't get that. There's no way you can get that because it is a passed down treasure. Okay, so that's number one.
Exactly.
Number
Hmm.
two, people ask me, they say, Lachi, why do you stand so hard on making sure that A, people know you did something, like that it was you. or that people know Ramped did something, that it was Ramped that did it, right? Not like all these other people gonna come through. No. Ramped was the one that
Right.
XYZ dot dot dot, right? Why is it that you work so hard to ensure that when you're working with different artists or different folks with neurodivergence and all the people coming out of Ramped, that they get their flowers and that they celebrate their flowers, right? Those are things that I really work towards, because I know, especially people of color with disabilities and women, et cetera, with disabilities, queer folk with disabilities, they're so quick to like, oh, I don't want to celebrate it because then people are going to act like I'm this and I'm that. Let me tell you right now, straight cis het white Joe is going to celebrate his shit, and he's not going to care what you say.
Unapologetically. Yes.
Unapologetically. And so I say, if you don't claim it and you don't own it, they will. So go ahead and they will. So go ahead and celebrate yourself. Go ahead and take that space up. Do not apologize for the space you're taking up, because you know what? You are the unwrapped gift of all that has been passed down to us from our ancestors' unbreakable spirit, the music, the beauty, the fashion, the color, the community that they have passed down. You are the result of that. So celebrate that, or you are erasing them and all of their hard work.
And that's on period. And I love you so much for saying that, because I couldn't have said it better. And this is why I do what I do. This is why I stand on who I am. Listen, nobody asked to be Black, gay, and blind all at the same effing time, okay? And neurodivergent and all of those other things. Sure. But I'm gonna stand on that shit. And, just following your lead and watching your example, it helps me to stand on it more and more every day. I want to talk about how I even got to know who you were. Sure. I spent years in this deep depression. I didn't listen to music, even though I had been studying classical and all kinds of music since I was 5. And I was, for some reason, just scrolling on Instagram. And I see, with my teeny tiny bit of vision left, this beautiful Black girl with braids just talking about Black Blind Word of the Day. And I'm like, who is this chick? Who the hell is she? And to know that I know you and we can have conversations like this just shows me that things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. But do you know, and I know you know, but do you know what you do for people? Do you know what no, seriously, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass or anything. Real shit. Do you know what you do for people just by giving them that example, providing that representation? Do you truly know the weight of that?
I have got to say, and first of all, thank you so much. Okay. I do it for what you just said, being able to scroll down and thinking that there's only one way to see yourself, right? And then seeing that there's this whole beautiful other world. I do it for folks like you to see that, because now look at you, right? You are now the success story. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And also I wanted to glam canes real quick. I think that's a really nice segue, because, I really hated using my canes, right? And then eventually I started to dress nice and have these really great galas and, have this big attitude, and I wanted my canes to match that. So I started bedazzling them, and people started seeing it and going I want one. And then eventually I started to sell them, and we have glamcanes.com glamcanes.com.
Yeah.
The beauty of the glam cane is that it's really a celebration of disability, and it's combating erasure, right? Especially if you were doing your own erasure of being afraid to use the cane. And I say this because there are now so many folks with glam canes. I mean, we're seeing people on first dates
that are just trying to do their shit. Your organization does that. And that's why I was so excited when I learned about it. I was so excited when, I was even considered for, an executive committee position, or all of the opportunities that I've had because of it. You really are a waymaker in the music industry. for disabled artists. And you need your props for that. I'm going to give you all your flowers. So just know that you really are. And your commitment to that shines through in your music. And it was definitely evident in your book, I Identify as Blind. Let's talk about that. Beautiful piece of work that just really made me look at myself differently and really made me like admit to my masks and all of the things that I still do today as a professional. You know, let's talk about that. Like,
Absolutely.
what was the inspiration for that book?
So I identify as blind, which is out January 27. So by the time this airs, that this book is out there, and the audiobook is out as well. And we have a large print, and we have dyslexic friendly font. So we out here trying to accommodate with the book itself. And the greatest
interdependence. Let's do
yes,
it.
interdependence. And
Yes.
we actually have Braille. If you pre-ordered the book and you're waiting for your copy will have Braille on the cover on the I identify as blind. And that was just a nod to the culture to get folks to just understand the beauty of having a physical piece of culture with you as you read this book. And before I get like too deeply into it, I do want to say this. The discussion of ramped, right, and the discussion of taking the masks off, I think one thing I want to clarify as well, or just kind of toss in there, is that ramped isn't just for artists, right? It's for music professionals. It's for like folks on the business side, executives, folks who work at the desk, folks who it's very difficult. It might be a little easier for artists to unmask, but it might be a little more difficult for folks who work in an office and who work sort of in the sort of, crabs in a buckety side of things, to be able to unmask and still pursue financial stability and career authority, right? And that was something that I was going through. And so really, it's this discussion of how do we talk about disability without it making folks fear being pathologized, right? This is why professionals don't want to talk about it. They want to keep it sort of secret because they may come off seen as non-competitive, or people might think, oh, well, I feel so sorry for them. Or maybe they're just going to be full of grievance or anything, right? So you want to just not be pathologized. But it's only because we just don't know how to talk about it without it coming off charity model, without it coming off medical model, without it coming off pedantic or sad or whatever. And that is why I wrote this book, I Identify as Blind. A celebration, a brazen celebration of disability, culture, identity, and most significantly, power. Because at the end of the day, what we do when we go through this book is I talk about with humor, with some jokes, with some just real talk, sort of like non-pedantic, let's just have a good time talking about
it. It was all you. Your audiobook was all you. And it's like you were literally sitting in my room, in my office, and we were just having a conversation, but you were doing your thing. I loved it so much. And you guys, I get to hear this like all the time, but to experience you is to experience disability joy at its finest. And, it's a pleasure. Every day I get to experience you. But I want to talk about disability joy as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because in your book, you talk about it and you're like, it's almost like people feel like because you're disabled or because you're blind or deaf or what have you, you don't have a full life. Like you don't experience joy. It's always this like, oh, bless your heart. I'm Southern. So, oh, bless your heart. Oh, I'll pray for you type vibe. And we really ain't that. We turn the hell up. We drink, we party, we have all of that. And the way you just kind of painted the picture of disability joy in this book was it was so dope to me. So explain why you did that, why you chose to show that.
So, I mean, this book has a lot of my stories to kind of showcase some of the things I'm talking about. But I also interview a bunch of, celebrities and public figures and just other badasses out here doing their thing with some big dis energy, as you said.
Period.
But one of the things I wanted to showcase is that I remember I was talking to somebody And I came in, I had my glam cane, which we'll talk about that too.
Oh, yes,
I
we
had my
will.
I had my sparkly glam canes. I have my 7-inch heels on because Lachi likes to tower. And we were drinking and I was telling some kind of jokes or whatever. And they were like, wow, you're blind and you're just such a badass and you're doing all these cool things. Man, you're so exceptional. And I was like, okay, stop right there. I am not an exception. I am actually the rule. And the
Yes.
only reason you notice me is because I unmasked and liberated it, right? Most folks with disabilities out here, neurodivergences, chronic conditions, mental health conditions, they are super duper talented and they're just masking. In fact, it's this person right here. It's that person right there. And it's you. That's the point of the book. It is that guy, it's that guy, and it is you. And this is why I have such an emphasis on disability joy. Because people think that if I come out about disability or if I lean into it or if I do anything but hide it, I will experience either suffering, pain, or whatever the heck Hollywood describes disability as,
Oh,
right? But the truth of the matter is that you will be more liberated. And the only thing you should be trying to strive for in life is liberation. We're all hiding behind some kind of closet, some kind of mask. And if we all have masks on, who are we masking for? Just other people with masks.
period. Yes, it's real shit.
You know
It's
what I'm
real
saying?
shit.
So
Yeah.
somebody has said to me, because I talk about it in the book, I talk about the day I woke up blind and
Yes.
how I just was like, all right, guess we blind now. Let me
Who does that? Oh my God. But you do that.
I was like, guess we blind now. Let's go get it. Let's go get us a bag. Let's see how we can turn this blind thing into an enterprise. Cause I'm Nigerian, so that's how we think. But most people go, oh my God, if I went blind, I would just want to die. Or if I gained a disability, I would want to die. My whole thing is when I woke up blind, I thought, let me live. It is time for me to go jumping out of airplanes. It is time for me to go like deep sea diving, like whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, I talk a lot about in this book about navigating the world differently, navigating a world that was not built for you, that wasn't built for your body, that wasn't built for your mind. You're navigating life on hard and you're winning. How is that not dope? Okay, last thing I'm gonna say. So, and I didn't put this in the book. I should have. This is a bit too much of a brag, but like, so I used to run track. Okay, got these runner's calves. So calm down, y'all.
Don't play with it.
Okay, so I used to run track. Now I'm not a long distance runner. I'm more of a sprinter. So I'm more of a like, the 1Ks, the 5Ks, et cetera, et cetera. So you're not going to get me winning a 26.2 mile marathon.
Ain't happening.
But you will get me like, give me a 5K. And by the time everybody gets there, I'm like, I already had supper type shit. You know what I mean? So I would do goofy stuff. Like they would say 1, 2, 3, go. And I would just sit there like, go, hey, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all at the finish line. Like I'll see y'all on the other side. Go. I would give people 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and I would still win. Now, this is what I'm talking about. It's like winning a boxing match with one hand behind your back, right?
Correct.
That's what disability is. That
Really
is, you are overcompensating for something that, you have to overcompensate in order to keep up, right? The minute that thing is accommodated, you are the most powerful. So let me put it like this. I have not just disabilities, I also have neurodivergences. And when they are accommodated, boo, they are the best things for me. Like my ADHD gives me my 1 million brilliant ideas. My OCD helps me carry out all those 1 million and counting ideas. My general anxiety makes me empathy, gives me excitement. And my blindness gives me focus, drives, and them dope ass glam canes. So why? And I also have a disability called a neurodivergence called MD, which is maladaptive daydreaming, where I used to daydream.
Talked about it in the book.
I do talk about it in the book, and it ended up being, it's when you overly daydream to the point where it takes up your life space. And one of the ways that I accommodated for it was I wrote the entire daydream down And then it turned into a published book called Death Tango. So all of my different disabilities and neurodivergences ended up being the best things for me. They liberate me and they actually put me a step ahead of the game because, again, I now know how to navigate a harder version of the world than other folks do, especially as it pertains to that thing, that disability, that neurodivergence. And so I say, why not celebrate that?
That's dope as shit. And like I told you earlier, you really made me look in the mirror and talk and acknowledge my masks. And I still mask till today. When I first joined Ramped, I didn't tell people that I had neurodivergences. I didn't put that on my profile. I just said blind. And I was like, okay, that's enough. Everything else is gonna scare people.
Sure.
I didn't talk about my depression and anxiety. I didn't talk about how debilitating my anxiety was. I am like so damn scatterbrained and all over the place. And you told me one day, Deshaymond, get it together. And you said it jokingly, but I was like, I really do need to get it together, Lachi. But it was one of those beautiful things that you made me really look in the mirror. And that's something that I want to work on. People are setting these New Year's resolutions and all of that, but I want to just let it all hang out more and just
first of all,
let it be what it is.
2026 is cooked. So we're going to try again in 27. But
girl. It is.
But I think, and the thing that I'll give you is to find your self accommodations because one of the reasons probably, and I'm just making this up, I don't know, you tell me, but one of the reasons I think that it's probably easier for you to just talk about your blindness, A, because it's probably a little more apparent, but B, because you have certain accommodations, because it's more apparent, it's easier for you to like get the accommodations for it, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm walking around with the cane, so it's easier for me to be like, hello, I'm blind, right?
Yes, me too. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Exactly, but then to accommodate or to even speak openly about your non-apparent disabilities or neurodivergences, whether it's, again, anxiety, depression, bipolar, or like, ADHD or dyslexia or OCD or whatever, you figure like, oh, I'll be all right. Let me just, right? ... And then it bites you in the butt. So I always encourage people, well, what are your accommodations? Like for me, I am heavy with calendaring and notes app. If it's not in the calendar, it's not happening. If it's not in my notes app, it's not going to the calendar, right? And that's a huge way that I have worked on my ADHD. I also, so as kind of like a heavily touring artist, and I have a couple eyeballs on me, I do have to be very selective of my team because my team is not just booking gigs and helping me with management. They are literally helping manage my ADHD. We all understand that A, that I have neurodivergences that I have to work through, and that B, everybody on my staff at Team Lachi, as well as Ramped, are folks with disabilities. And so we make sure that we are accommodating each other's different neurodivergences. And just being front and center and open about it, I have to be honest, is probably one of the biggest accommodations. Now, it's the most difficult hurdle, but it's probably one of the biggest accommodations that I have done for myself. So let's say, for instance, if I'm going to a new studio, they want me there, I'm just open. I'm like, hey, first of all, I am legally blind. So we just want to make sure somebody can come down and say hello, or please this, or please that. And then when I am there, I do let people know. And I don't do this in a jocular way. I don't say, I'm so ADHD or I'm so OCD. These are not adjectives, right? These are clinical situations. So I say, I have ADHD, and because I have ADHD, you might find me going to my notes app while you're talking, and it is not me ignoring you. It's actually me writing down the notes right now because I will absolutely scatter it later. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring you. So sometimes just to be open with what your thing is helpful for them. It's helpful for you. But also to realize that you don't necessarily have to over-explain, right? It's just being open about who you are so that they feel more comfortable and you feel more comfortable.
Yes. Lachi, I know that that was for everybody, but thank you for giving that to me directly because you gave it to me. You just
Sure.
did.
Yeah.
I want to back up a little bit because the opening story of the book
Mhm.
with the kombucha and waking up blind and the train and
Yeah. Y'all got to
why
read it
did
to
you
know what he's
choose?
talking about.
You said what?
I said, y'all got to read it to know what he's talking
They
about.
do, they do. They have to, you have to read this book. If you have a disability, you have to read this book. If you don't have a disability, but you know someone that's disabled, or you just want to be a better fucking human being, read
Mhm.
this damn book. But why did you choose to tell that story the way that you told it? And you told it in full form. It was all you. And I could just visualize you with kombucha all over the place and just being like, yup, I'm here. You know?
Yeah. I wanted to start with that story because it just rips the band-aid off of like, so many people are like, why would you say you identify as blind? Like, wouldn't you, downplay it as much as possible? Or like, how can you be proud to be blind or whatever, right? So I wanted to kind of rip the band-aid off of I woke up blind and like, here we go. Let's have a great time. And a lot of because it's a fun story, it's very bouncy, it's very driven. And I'm like, I want to show you that we're going to have a really, really fun time talking about shit that is like, you're kind of feeling a little cringe. You're like, oh my God, she woke up like, no, 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 the entire time. And it's just having a good time. That's with Glam Canes, men and women. We're seeing people at
That's
50 concerts, Bayhive folks going to graduations, a gaggle of older women just going out and having a good time and feeling sexy because we're not just doing blind canes, we're also doing walkers, we're also doing
yes,
mobility canes. And I have to tell you, Deshaymond, when I
yes.
read these things, like when they write it, maybe they'll DM me or I'll just see it on their feed that, they're writing about their cane. And they'll
Mhm.
say things like, I never wanted to be seen with my cane. Like I wanted to hide and just do as much as I can to have the cane in the background. Now they're like, I want people to see my cane. I
Yes.
want people to see how, like, why am I hiding so much? And it's
Mhm.
a conversation starter. So usually people see the cane and they want to avoid me. Now they see the cane and it starts the convo, right?
It does.
Especially my totals out there. Because, by the way, everybody should know that blindness is a whole ass spectrum and only less than 15% are totally blind. So most blind people can see. But
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah, I'm a total. So,
yeah. So
yes.
some totals will come up to me and they're like, I would go to a party and it would be very difficult. Like no one would come up and talk to me, right?
Yeah.
And then I can't find them. But then I have this cane and it helps people come
Yes.
over to me and say like, okay, that's a dope ass cane with that dope ass suit or that dope fit. So what's that about? And it starts the conversation. And then that conversation leads into networking or friendship or whatever, that they couldn't have without that conversation starter piece. And so
Absolutely.
little things like that, like seeing Chris Redding through our work, and all of the people on that album be part of a Grammy-nominated project. Seeing a lot of these folks coming out of Ramped, getting gigs, getting recognition, being a part of the Recording Academy, getting on the board, being on the board of other places, getting into leadership, and then doing things I have nothing to do with, getting other folks into leadership, throwing their own massive parties, getting partnerships, hearing people, and I mean, folks who identify with disability or not, coming over to me and saying like, hey, I just saw how much more accessible this ticketing website is. And I know you guys were working with them. Was that you guys? Or somebody going, oh my gosh, it's, I'm just hearing more about accessibility and disability in the industry. And I know it's because of the work you guys are doing. These are the reasons I get out of bed. These are the reasons that I like love what I'm doing. And this is why we do the glam canes. This is why we wrote I identify as blind. I might be holding it upside down, but I'm blind. This is
It's
why
okay.
this is why we run Ramp. This is why I'm a trustee at the Recording Academy. This is why I do the songs I do. This is why we hosted that PBS series for Renegades.
Renegade.
This
Yes.
is why everything, because beyond all things, what I say that I love to do is entertain people into giving a crap about disability, accessibility, and humanity at large.
Oh, shit. Lachi, so dope. And, I just want to say, take my glam cane on stage with me. I just did a damn award show with a glam cane, okay? And I walked up to the mic with a glam cane. So it empowers you. I know why you get that feedback, because I'm like, okay, I'm blind and I'm badass. I think I'm probably the most handsome blind man on the planet. You know, that's in my own opinion. But, you know, oh, thank you, my love. You know, I knew it already, though. But, you know, it gives me power. It kind of tells the story of my status. And, you know, they stare at blind people all the time anyway. But now you're staring, not just because I'm fine and I'm a star, but because you see me coming in my fullness, in my wholeness with my glam cane. It's definitely empowering. And I love you and Arthur for just creating such an amazing tool that just empowers so many folks. Like, y'all are dope for that. I love it. I love it so much. Now, Lachi, you've said, you know, you said everything that you do on a daily basis, what your passions are.
Yes.
But 50 years from now, 60 years from now, whenever that is, what do you want your legacy to be once you're no longer here? What do you want to live on?
That is such a deep question. And I think that really what it is I want people to have been liberated. I want the masks. I want people to say, she came through and she made us unmask.
Yes.
Because I deeply believe that our biggest issue is the masking. You know, people talk about supremacy. I think that the synonym for supremacy is internalized ableism, is ableism in general. There's no difference between supremacy and ableism. And I want to be able to have torn down the shackles of internalized ableism, because that is liberation. That is the legacy that I want to stand on.
That's so beautiful, and that's so you. I could have just I literally probably could have answered that for you, because that's I knew you were gonna say that.
I mean, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, award-winning singer, songwriter, artist, novelist, activist, advocate, entrepreneur, everything and more. Recording Academy trustee, Miss Lachi. Thank you so much for being here and doing this with me today. I just want everybody to know where they can find you and where they can soak up this energy and how they can stay connected.
Well, of course, you can find me at Lachi Music, which is LACHIMUSIC. So lachimusic.com, or that's my handle as well on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of the thingies. If you yourself are a music professional or a music creator or an industry side music person, come see us at ramped.org, RAMPD.org. If you're a business or an organization that wants to get it right and you're in the entertainment industry, also come to ramped.org. We do training, we do consultation, we do walkthroughs. And if you are interested in our glam canes, whether you're a blind cane user or a mobility cane user, find us at glamcanes.com. That's GLAMCANES.com. But again, come find all things me at lachimusic.com. Right now, we're currently on tour. So that's where you can find some of the tour dates. And we will constantly be touring. So go to that website. You can also go in there to request that we come to your city. I would love to come meet all you folks. Thank you so much.
So dope, Lachi. I want to say thank you again. And I want to say thank you for gifting me with a glam cane, one of the best gifts I ever got. And thank you for sitting here and chatting with me today. And thank you for being on the first season of the Deshaymond Show. It really makes my heart smile to know that you took time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for doing this.
I won't let you take my voice from me.